Welcome to Ninon Speaks. I'm your host, Ninon de Rosa, and my co-host is AJ Dean. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to Ninon Speaks Media Image. My name is AJ Dean. I'm your co-host, and it is my great privilege and pleasure to introduce Ninon de Rosa. Hello, Ninon. How are you today?
Absolutely wonderful, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm in Vegas, and this is our first fall of rain in months and months and months. And I just looked out of the window, and a big flash came by, which means thunder and lightning.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be thunder and lightning. And I read both bios of these two young people coming on, and fascinating, interesting. So do you want to introduce them to us, AJ?
Yes, of course. I'd like to introduce, and I'll go ahead and admit them.
Yes,
so
first one.
We have tonight a very super spectacular show tonight. We've got a lot of glitz, glitter, and glamour. And I'd like to introduce Jett Adore, voted most innovative performer at the Las Vegas Burlesque Hall of Fame. He's also known as the Diamond Stud, and he is a phenomenal burlesque performer. He's known also for Stage Door Johnnies, and he has wonderful workshops and online classes, stage presence coaching, and he's also known as the Reimagine Activist. And I want to also mention Secrets of Stage Presence. That's an online workshop he has right now. He also does private performance. He's a private performer, coaching sessions, and his patron, Your Private Jet. So please follow him online. Take all of his classes. He's also known as the Prince of Boylesque. So hello, Jett. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you? Thanks for having me. Hi, Ninon.
Jeff, you look amazing. I like your little bouquet little thing here. Look at your tie, and look at the
Thanks.
muscles.
I got dressed up just for you.
Yes, and I'd also like to introduce our lovely and beautiful Michelle Lamore. She is a Neo-Burlesque performer. She's been on NBC's America's Got Talent. She's an artist, teacher, and empowerment advocate. She's also been on Showtime. And she has a new class beginning February 2nd called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, a sensual movement and self-love and self-discovery class. I want to hear more about that. She also has a show premiering on February 13th called Uncensored Beyond Burlesque. And she has this really cool podcast. I listened to it last night. I dig it. It's called Look Down There. It's also on her YouTube channel. So subscribe to her YouTube channel and please watch it. It's about increasing awareness. Hello, Michelle. It's lovely to see you.
Hello, AJ. Hello, Ninon. Hello, Jett.
Hello, hello.
This show coming up, Michelle, sounds it sounds rather exciting. Is this your first show coming out 2021?
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, we've been doing all virtual entertainment for the past year, so I guess officially this is our first 2021 show.
First, and how many other people are in this show? Because I know it's not just you, but are you you're obviously the lead of the show, are you?
Yeah, so I host the show from my living room and then I perform as well. And I think I have 8 or 9 other performers from all over the world. And it's really great.
Screens?
What?
They're all coming in on different screens, right?
No, so we pre-record our acts and then they send them in and they're like a really beautiful piece of art. And Jett was in the very first one I did back in May.
That's amazing. Now, Jett, let's go over to you because you're a burlesque young man. And
Oh, I like that word young. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, you are. And I'm going into a different arena because I have never really seen that. I think I've been to one show where they've had all the men, which is a woman's show. They have all the men dancing around and
Sure.
And what have you. I won't go into detail, but it's pretty cool.
Well, why not? Let's go into detail.
Let's go into detail. Well, all that equipment is...
It's Friday night. It's the weekend. We can talk details.
So what made you get into this, Jett Adore? This is amazing. I mean, you fit the part, that's for sure.
Well, it's a long story, to be honest. If you're talking about how I got specifically into burlesque, it was
Yes.
sort of a slow process, and I kind of liken it to maybe some of our friends that we can't even actually remember how or where we met. But somehow over time we grew to love each other. So I'm going to try to make this story short. I've been an actor and a dancer all my life, and then in probably the early 2000s, I started to do one-time events, which would happen annually, mostly the events that we would do with a man that we called Hot Toddy back in the day. His name's Todd
Okay.
Keach, and he's also
That
an
sounds
actor.
exciting, hot toddy.
Yes. Yeah, he's amazing. His name's Todd Keach, and he performed under that name, Hot Toddy, and he won Mr. Exotic World in Las Vegas at one point. And he kind of roped in a few of us from Chicago, three men in particular, that we called ourselves the Stage Door Johnnies. We weren't really in the burlesque revival world, though, because at that time, as far as we knew, and actually as far as I know even now,
Hmm.
at that time, there weren't really men doing burlesque
No.
as there were men in burlesque, but even they would more categorize themselves as performance artists or comedic acts. But
They-
as far as being like a male counterpart to classic burlesque, we never really found that unless you looked really hard and really deep. And I like those words, hard and deep, in all of my work. And so it happened over time. And actually, it was the women of burlesque who invited us in. We never really saw a place for us in burlesque because there isn't much of a history of men in burlesque.
No.
Again, you have to dig pretty deep. But um, we were just invited in. We started, and Michelle is one of the people who did that because back in that at that time she owned the Chicago Starlets, which was a probably at least one of, if not the best, female professional burlesque troupe at that time in the world.
Well, when you think about, when, let me interrupt 1 second. When you think about burlesque, you sort of think about the performer coming on, and she's got these beautiful gown on, and she's all sort of dressed up and got clothes on.
Yes.
So when you discard these clothes as you go to the music, and it's hard for a man to do that because he just has a body. He doesn't have the boobs and all that stuff to, you know, make it.
We have
But you have.
maybe a fewer, well, a smaller range of parts that are considered private, at least two parts we do not own usually. And so, but you know how I think about it is that I sort of think of all of the body is as special as we decide that it is.
That'll be correct. Absolutely correct. Yes.
Yeah. So I often decide that my breasts are as sexualized as women's are. I sort of wish we lived in a world in which women's breasts were not seen as starkly more sexualized than a woman being shirtless being shocking and
Let me just go.
not. I
Michelle,
sort of wish there was a
Michelle, can
so
you answer his question about boobs not being so sort of, you know, I don't know what you're trying to explain because I thought boobs were always boobs.
Well, I mean, the thing that gets to me is that Jet can show his nipples and I can't. So that's frustrating. But Jet he's always really good about wearing pasties and, kind of being, a comrade in all of this. But
Can
yeah,
can he twirl his pasties as good as a woman can? Because
no.
no.
No, but he mentioned Hot Toddy, and
yes.
Hot Toddy is a friend of mine as well. And instead of twirling tassels, he would twirl assels. So I would make him assels, which are just tassels for your butt.
Oh, oh,
Yes. So I put him, and then my job backstage was to put the assholes onto Hot Toddy for every show. So I was his asshole fluffer, maybe.
It's a difficult job.
Yeah, it was really hard.
I think it's very hard to explain that job because most people aren't going to understand it, especially the older generation, because they, what earth is she talking about?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very specific. You have to make sure that they're even. You can't have one up here. You know, it's gotta be right in line.
Got to be even. So
Yeah.
did he twist them opposite directions, or did he master that, or were they? Because this is fascinating to me. I've never heard of this.
Oh yeah, assholes and tassels. You know, it's kind of like he just shook and things happened.
Aha, you know why? Because he knew how to shake.
Exactly.
How about that, Jett? I mean, this is all very. Is it exciting to do that? Is it kind of a challenge? And I mean, obviously you do it as well, right?
Well, I've never done the assholes.
Oh, you.
But I have tried twirling tassels on occasion. I cheat at it. To those performers out there who really know how to do it well, can watch me do it and know exactly how I'm cheating. But it's like, you know, the people who really know, they can tell
So
the industry standards.
you know,
But it's not usually my thing. But you know.
but you know what? Between the two of you, a lot goes into burlesque. We as an audience, since I've never done burlesque, but we as an audience that will come up and watch it, we don't quite understand the work and the power and the what you have to do to get it working all the right way and to show the audience, you know, something very different. Because I think burlesque now is a little bit different than when it first came out. Would that be so, Michelle?
I would say so. I mean, even just in the way of technology, I mean, we have so much available to at our fingertips. Our even just our feather fans, the technology that has gone into creating a pair of feather fans is way beyond what it used to be. And not to mention all of the supplies that we can get our hands on, all of the, you know, all the Swarovskis are readily available for us. You know, yes, it can get very expensive. It does cost a lot of money to do burlesque and to make costumes and all of that. But that's why I prefer just to be naked. I'm just thrifty.
It's just the body parts are all showing.
Exactly. I just need a pair of heels, some earrings, maybe some feathers. I'm good.
A pair of heels and lovely lashes, and away you go.
Exactly.
You out. Don't
I'm
you?
sorry, I didn't hear you.
Book out. Michelle, you have a book out, right?
Oh, no. Well, I did. I do have a book called The Most Naked Woman, a lot of photographs, and that came out a while ago, maybe 12 years or so ago, but I am working on a new photo book project that is going to be much more intimate, shall we say.
Reading, no, not reading. I was listening to you last night, which I don't usually pre-interview anybody. I just don't do that. I don't like to because I like it to be fresh. But AJ insisted, Nina, you've got to listen to this video. So I said, okay, AJ, I'll look. I was fascinated. Look down there. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I loved it. I loved it because it allows us to be free. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm sorry, I had to add that.
Well, I don't
Thank you.
know how many people it's going to let me free because women are very sensitive with the, again, as Jett said, private parts. We all have, I don't know why they're all so private because everybody has the male or the female, you know. So I don't know what's so private about it because we all have it, but then, you know, we all have a head too. So you're not inhibited by listening to you. You're not inhibited by kind of anything.
Well, not anymore. I used to be. It's taken me a long time to get to this moment in my life, and I've done a lot of work to remove this shame, and it's shame that we all carry.
You call, you call it shame.
I'm sorry, what?
Call it removing our shame. Because I've never had that. I've never felt shameful of anything, but I haven't showed my.
Amazing. Yeah, you're an exception to the rule.
Yeah. I mean, I wore a bikini, and so that's, you know, showing my body off or not naked, but I've never felt ashamed. And so I often wonder, why do so many people, Jett, do you feel ashamed of your body, or did you feel ashamed?
No, but I think for all of us, particularly in burlesque, it's part of the challenge because we are the fantasy. And not just us. In fact, I don't even think of it as a sexual fantasy. I'm saying we're providing the fantasy of confidence in ourselves, you know, so that if I cannot be ashamed and if Michelle cannot be ashamed, but there's levels of shame too.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends whom I'm with in the room.
Yeah.
That it indicates or will tell me in that moment what I might be most vulnerable about. So I think what Michelle is so beautifully doing is pointing out that, you know, we might be quite open and feel entirely shame-free in most instances in our lives, but there might be those specific relationships or particular people or audiences or whatever it is in which we find ourselves retreating in some way, or
and we all have that.
ashamed of
Everybody
something.
has it. I mean, I just don't feel ashamed of everything. I never have. I don't know. Maybe I'm oblivious of what's going on. I don't know.
I think that's a challenge for most people to find that, and I think that's
But
why
yeah, one time I was very
you're
shy.
an inspiration in that way.
Yeah, one time I was very, very shy, and I knew that what I was going into, which was modeling, I knew that I couldn't be shy. So I used to put myself in a place where I would feel shy, but I would not be shy. So I used to put myself out there and sort of get rid of this thing. I did. I got rid of it. But I just think that what you both do is amazing because it's in this day and age, things are so much more advanced. So therefore, you from the burlesque side of it, which was a very fragile side, back in the days, now you can be more open and you can talk about and do more things. Do you feel the same way, that it's much freer in this world now? Well, especially for you, Michelle, because you've really opened up.
Well, it's there's a fine line, right? It's like you can maintain this idea of glamour and you can keep the facade up all the time, or you can let people peek behind the curtain. And, you know, there is such an effort to being effortless. There's such an effort to being glamorous all of the time, right? And for me, I really enjoy letting people get to know me and seeing behind the curtain a little bit, because then I think when you let people in on that really personal level, I think that they can appreciate what happens on that stage even more, because they understand where you're coming from, they understand your point of view, and you know your intentions.
Yeah, I love to do that too. That's exactly what you're talking about. And I love to sort of not wear any makeup, and I put the cap on and I've got something on and I'm walking around and no one's going to know who I am. But I forgot one thing, the voice. And they were, oh, is that you? I'm like, yeah, yeah.
Ninon, just wanted to give a shout out to April March. She is the reason that we have these wonderful guests tonight, our beautiful glittering glamour guests tonight, Jett Adore and Michelle Lamore. And you both look exquisite. And Michelle, I hope I match you a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I brought out this cute little thing. I haven't gotten to wear it in a long time.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. I love it. And I love what you're wearing also. Jett, you look absolutely beautiful. And Ninon, you're right in with the burlesque.
Hey, I was going to say, how old do you have to be to not do burlesque? But with April March and Georgette and all the gang out there is kind of no limit on it. I mean, they've kept their bodies up and their shape. That's amazing. April March is amazing. Georgette is amazing. We've had a lot of fabulous people on our show that introduce people like you. Otherwise, we would not know about you. And now getting back to not knowing about you, why wouldn't we know about you? Why wouldn't we see more of you out there? Is that, are you not doing, I mean, for what we're doing for you right now, you're going to be all on our social media platform and everything. So we're getting you out there, but otherwise, we don't see you out there. Are you not getting out enough, or are you only going to a certain group of people? Both of you.
Jet, do you want to take this one first and then I can chime in?
Well, um, I mean, Michelle and I are both used to in times that don't have people dying and getting sick of a crazy virus. We're used to traveling the world all the time. And I think Michelle has, in the past few years, focused more on producing her own resident things and looking to produce things in LA and all of that too. But I'm used to performing full time, doing the world tours with Dita Von Teese and doing burlesque festivals and producing my own show as
So,
well.
all right, because
Um,
we live in Vegas, obviously, and it's a pretty before this COVID-19 hit us all, or hit the world actually. Um, I still didn't see as much burlesque out there that I'm now hearing about, that I have for the last few weeks, of how well it's done and how good it is and how beautiful it is. And I haven't seen as much out there in advertising or even shows and things. And I'm just wondering why.
Yeah, I mean, I think burlesque is slow to come to the mainstream. It's very slow. I think it takes a lot for the general public to accept someone who is like really in their sexual power and having that ownership of self. And I think that can be a little intimidating and it's of course provocative. But it seems that people are more willing to accept drag queens than they are burlesque queens or kings or what have you. But
Wow.
it's a struggle, and it's also, dealing with censorship and censoring women's bodies on social media. That's a big one.
So, Stuart, what do you think of the sexual orientation out there right now? We've got it probably, the gay and lesbian community is out there more than it's ever been out there, which is well deserved and should have come out much sooner. What do you think of it coming out there, and you know, not being ashamed if ever you were, which I don't think you were, because you don't seem to be that type of person. But a lot of them are, they don't want to come out of the closet. But now I feel that now it's more open, and now is it, and is it okay now? I mean, I think it's okay, but you would know more than I would.
well, I mean, as each generation passes, it becomes less and less, it matters less and less who you have
Yes.
sex with and what your gender is. I think, I think now as it becomes sort of accepted more prevalently,
Yeah, moral
that
cross.
there's all sorts of sexualities that each of us has our own, that now we're more exploring the diversity within gender. So I think
Yeah.
that's what's taken the front burner now, and I think it's important. Burlesque has the revival of burlesque as a sort of theatrical genre,
Hmm.
as it's come back
Yes.
now, is a whole part of what that is, has meant for people and grows to mean for people, is this place that invites everyone, like drag has always been this
Yeah.
place too, the world of drag. But this invites anyone with any body, with any gender, with any identity to embrace something that's about not having shame and the literal metaphor of exposing all of who you really are and not being ashamed of it.
See,
That to a lot of people is the biggest power of what burlesque brings to them and how it empowers them when they watch other performers, because if they can see a glimmer of themselves in that person,
absolutely.
they can
Absolutely.
have a moment where they feel like if they don't have to be ashamed of themselves, I don't have to be ashamed of myself.
No,
So
you don't have to walk sort of, are people watching me? Are they doing it? Does brings your quote back, Michelle, being ashamed. And you were ashamed of yourself for so many years. And I don't know how you found out, probably but through burlesque, you found out how to get rid of it, because you had to get up on that stage and perform. And I'm not saying doing anything, but doing anything that you wanted to do that you felt comfortable about.
Yeah, I mean, burlesque has been my greatest teacher. I always say that I remove clothing, but I do more of like a spiritual striptease. Like I have to remove these layers of doubt and shame and fear and judgment and all these kind of heavy burdens and these heavy costumes that we all wear, that we need to remove these things in order to get to the root and of who we are and our authentic selves.
Yes, they do. AJ, you've been a little silent. What do you feel about, we're talking about, different agendas and being gay, being a lesbian, and now it's all out in the open and performing on stage. You've lived, I'm not going to say you've lived a sheltered life, but you haven't been in show business. We three haven't done the same thing, but kind of.
Thank you, Ninon. Yes, I love burlesque. I love it so much. And I love Jett and I love Michelle. I immediately, when I met them the other day, I just felt a simpatico with them and like their extended family to me. And I hope that's okay for me to say. Jett has worked with Liza Minnelli, or production related to that. Is that right, Jett? And I just love cabaret and all of that fun stuff. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little about that, Jett?
about what part of that?
Liza
The
Minnelli.
cabaret.
Yeah, well, it all came together kind of accidentally, which is most of my professional life. We were meant to do the Stage Show Johnnies that I talked about before, the three of us men in Chicago. That's how my career in burlesque began. We were meant to debut our show that we began touring in New York City, actually on Fire Island, which is a little island that's near New York City. But it ended up being such that the show that we had scheduled that night ended up being a bigger event and a bigger show.
Great.
And eventually Alan Cumming was hired to host that show and to be a big star of that show. It was basically going to be him and us three guys. Well, Liza Minnelli hadn't performed and certainly hadn't done a concert, and I don't know how long. I don't know how long it was, but it was like a big deal that he got her to come to Fire Island and do this tiny little show in front of maybe, I don't know, 300 gay guys or something. It sold out like in 2 seconds. But that's how it happened. It basically happened by accident. Alan Cumming was like, why don't you come do a thing? And then, of course, it made huge news and it was this big deal. And then the role that I and the two other guys played in that show eventually, even though it started out being our show, we ended up basically, you can't do a show with Liza Minnelli and not have it be her show. So we kind of made it her show, and then we kind of baton on our act. But I have so many backstage stories of her. It's so fun.
Seems like
she's such an amazing person.
I was going to say, she seems like a very nice person. Have you worked with any other stars apart from Michelle
L'Amour? Well, I've worked with a lot of stars of the burlesque scene. I work with Dita Von Teese, who's a pretty big burlesque star. I mean, a number of stars have come to our shows.
Yes.
I mean, the list sort of goes on and on, but
I'm sorry to interrupt. We have about 5 minutes left, but I wanted to give a shout out to Michelle L'Amour. You're absolutely gorgeous, Michelle. And you make burlesque even better, both of you and Jett. And I want burlesque to go around the world. And I want it to get even more popular. I want everyone to subscribe to Jett and Michelle's YouTube and Facebook and take their classes and their workshops, because we need this in our world. And thank you so much for being there.
So, Michelle, give a shout out to where people can reach you and how they can get hold of you, and also so that you can pass along this incredible video you have, because it's incredible. Everybody should really watch this video, because it starts out very slow, and then all of a sudden you got a hook. The hook comes in. You have,
That's how I get you. It's a little tease. I know how to tease. Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Michelle Amore, or check out at I Look Down There for the podcast, where I interview strippers and therapists and sex workers and yoni nutritionists and yoni artists. It's a good time.
What's a
A
yoni?
yoni is another it's another word for your private parts. Yeah.
I've just learned.
Oh,
this.
wow.
I'm getting there. That's
Yeah. And you can check out michelleamore.com.
Okay. Oh, there she goes. Look, there you all go. Okay, so I go. Oh, I'm learning. I'm never too old to learn. Jess, where can we find you, and where are you? Where can we get hold of you?
I'm pretty easy to find.
Oh,
Jett Adore with 2 T's. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. My Patreon is patreon.com/Jett Adore with 2 T's.
Okay. One quick question for you, Jett. Michelle is doing this video, and she's going into not another arena, but a arena, plus what she does with the burlesque. What other thing do you go into? Do you have anything else?
Well, yeah, it's my workshops that I teach. My workshops are probably the thing that are most rewarding and fulfilling for me. They have been
Great.
for so long. So, yeah, I've been teaching my 8-week course in Secrets of Stage Presence. I don't know the date for the next series, but I'll be posting that as soon as I get that. And
that'll be posted on Facebook and Instagram and anything else. Now, are your shows on YouTube as well?
No.
Some of them, but
YouTube will not allow me to be on YouTube. Yeah, I've been banned from YouTube.
Well, then you and Trump are in the same degree.
Oh
then.
no! Don't say
don't
that.
put her in that drawer.
Oh God!
The only thing she has in common with Trump.
Oh, you just made me break out into a sweat.
We're all post-fight. I didn't know that would hit that strong, but well, it was funny anyway. So this show has been amazing to all our audience out there. We obviously treasure you. Without you, nothing happens. So don't forget to tune in to Ninon Speaks Media Image. We are also on Facebook. We also have a. Where can they see it on YouTube, AJ?
Well, right now they can see it on my YouTube account, AJ Dean, but we are going to get something for you, Ninon, set up in the future for Ninon Speaks for your own YouTube channel, and hopefully we'll get transferred over there. But they can always contact me, and I'm so happy to promote Ninon Speaks and you.
Yes, well, I love to. I mean, let me put it this way: without AJ, this wouldn't be happening. I would still be doing my one-on-ones and all my other stuff, because I do a lot of interviews, and I've had Ninon speak for a long time. But I wouldn't have had the pleasure of Michelle and Jett coming on the show and understanding the burlesque arena out there, that people should not have that coat on them that they've got to keep trying to peel off. And we don't mean by a coat, we're not talking about a woolly coat. We're talking about your skin. We're talking about your body. We're talking about your mind. We're talking about everything. Would either one of you like to give a shout out to anybody? Michelle, would you like to shout out?
Oh, just thank you, Jett, for suggesting me for this. Thank you, AJ and Ninon, for having me. It's been so fun. Thank you.
Having you, you've opened up a whole new arena. We love it. What